Hi, our final speaker this evening is Alison Crane, who's been an environmental activist for many years and has worked with people in Climate Action Leicester to introduce the Footpaths programme to Gloucestershire. Her son lives in Canberra, Australia, with his wife and young family, and she's going to be talking to us this evening about her and their experiences. Over to you, Alison.
Thank you, Sarah. So I'm going to talk about, starting in November 2019. During that time, I was preparing for doing a talk on carbon footprinting. And so I was looking at my carbon footprint and looking at all the assumptions made, and it's just numbers. I was doing my head in, to be honest. And at the same time, news started to come through about bushfires, forest fires in Australia. And the reason it made the news in this country is for the same reason that it's to do with climate change, not just the normal, we always have bushfires in the summer in Australia. It was November, it was early summer. It was really extensive, even in November. It was big areas of forests burning. And it also included subtropical forests. So eucalyptus trees is normally, there's normally fires, but subtropical fires, subtropical trees don't normally burn. So I'm just going to share the screen to show you where I'm talking about. Okay, so this is New South Wales. This is the I've got two lots of relations in Australia. Fenella here is the cousin of my partner, and she lives in Bellingen in North New South Wales. And this is Matthew and his family, who live in Canberra, a lot further south, and this is Sydney. So this is where it is in Australia. So it's not the desert, it's not tropical areas, it's temperate areas. So the news in November was North New South Wales, around where Fenella lives. She had a bag packed and ready to leave in case the fires came, but thankfully she didn't have to. So, and because of my relations, I was particularly interested and concerned about the news, and I started to read the local newspapers online to see what was happening in detail. I was shocked by some of the messages put out by the fire services. Things like, there aren't enough fire trucks, don't call us, you're on your own. Act immediately to survive. Shelter indoors, it's too late to leave. So states of emergency were declared. And Australia, it's like this country in many ways. I've visiting my family, and it's easy to feel at home. It's the same language, similar food, shops, etc. So I was trying to imagine something of that scale hitting me and my neighbours here in Gloucestershire, and being reported in the local news, also internationally. It was hard to take in. And the fires kept on spreading still further. And at first, Matthew and his family weren't directly affected. However, by December, Canberra was almost surrounded by fires at about 60 miles radius. And for a few days, they had the worst air pollution in the world. Oh, trying to get to the next slide. Oh, yeah. So this was taken on the 19th of December. At the same time, temperatures were in the 40s. It was 41 degrees when Matthew took this photo. That's unusually high. As I said, it's a temperate part of the world, but increasing number of summer days are hitting the 40s. So it wasn't safe to go out. So this shows the day-to-day effects of climate change on ordinary people in affluent cities. Matthew and his wife go running, and they enjoy bushwalks in the mountains and on the coast with the children. He told me he can't look forward to summer anymore. And my grandchildren not being able to play outside is so sad. But this is a different scale from losing your home or your livelihood, although it is potentially life-threatening. This photo of smog at the same time in Canberra illustrates an article that I've just read saying that at least 30 people in Canberra died from smoke-related health problems. So Christmas brings the summer holidays. I was there 2 years before this, and we went to the coast for Christmas, as many people do. It's about half a day's drive from Canberra. Lots of people go on holiday straight after Christmas, and at this time, the fires were burning along much of the coast. So holidays were cancelled, people set off anyway and had to turn back. So there were traffic jams with fires approaching, evacuations by boat on the coast. Terrifying for urban holidaymakers, but obviously devastating for the wildlife, for the farmers and the people who live in those areas. And then the 4th of January was the hottest day ever in Canberra, 44 degrees. So Matthew had to join a gym for the first time in his life. He usually goes running outdoors, but he couldn't run without going outside. So he was there jogging at lunchtime on the 20th of January, and the weather broke with a massive hailstorm. The hailstones were so big that they damaged and wrote off thousands of cars. Well, I can't be too upset at cars being written off, but it was inconvenient, it was expensive, and it was quite surprising. That's Matthew's car, dented by the hailstone. So at this time, Matthew was feeling fortunate that the Australian Capital Territory, that's the small state that surrounds the city of Canberra, feeling fortunate that they'd avoided the worst of the fires. But then in late January, a helicopter's landing lights set a fire ablaze in the local national park. It was still so dry. It ended up spreading and burning down 15% of the entire state. And he said it got pretty close to Canberra at one point, and everyone was on edge, given what had already happened in New South Wales. And also because there were big fires here in 2003, and some people died. So you could see the smoke from their garden, that's their garden, and the smoke. And you could see the flames from the high points in the city. This hit me hard. Every time I look at that picture, it's awful. I'd been to the areas that were ablaze. Lovely walks, half an hour's drive from home, just right for an afternoon out or a picnic. And some areas of that park are still closed. So obviously it's not bushfires in other parts of the world, but from this I can really see and I can really feel emotionally how extreme weather and the effects of climate change could impact the lives of people living in urban areas and in affluent cities. Thank you.